And then last question for me is relating to where we are, given the fact that we have not been able to resolve the disaster supplemental. So there's been discussion about how the Forest Service is made whole for the fire borrowing from last year. And we recognize that those funds represent critical wildfire spending. They also represent other important work that went undone because we didn't have access to the wildfire cap adjustment. So I am hopeful that we've got a final deal soon on the supplemental that would include the fire borrowing repayment. But I want to make sure that I understand what Forest Service is planning for the fire season if we don't pass a supplemental before the fire season really kicks into high gear. I did not think, quite honestly, that we would be sitting here on May 15th and not have been able to sign off on a disaster sup. So I've been surprised that we're having this conversation right now. But can you share with me any steps that you're taking to prepare for wildfire season, given the uncertainty of the fire borrowing repayment? And then just share with the committee what the consequences would be of those funds not being repaid to date, and the consequences for the remainder of the fiscal year if we're not able to pay them. I know that this is all worst case scenario, but we're supposed to plan around here too.
Senator, thank you so much for the question. This is one of the things that does keep me up at night. You're right, there's twofold concerns. One is that we're unable to get the amount of work done on the ground. You know, I've pushed our folks in the field and said, you've got to plan like you have it. And so they're stepping up and, you know, putting strike teams out there and all the rest of it to get work.
That's good, because we don't want them sitting and just waiting until we get the okay from Washington,
Well, right, but
DC.
I said the money's coming, and
Right.
the money isn't there. So they've had to, you know, switch to appropriations. Bottom line is, it has had an effect for this year of getting less work done. But the other big question that you point out is these accounts won't be replenished, which is where we normally draw from for the borrowing activity. And as you know, we're one more year that we have to deal with potential fire borrowing. The projections for fire for this season are, again, it's a wide range, but it's a significant. It's from $1.6 billion to $2.8 billion fire year. We have $1.7 billion for suppression. So you set it up, absolutely. The likelihood that we will be in a transfer situation is significant for this year. So we and without having those accounts replenished that we could draw from, again, for the borrowing, we are having to put together drastic plans, scenarios that would include de-obligating contracts and agreements that we already have on the ground, because there's no other place to pull those funds from.
Well, I guess that's a clear warning to us of the consequences. Hopefully, that is a scenario that we're not going to see. I am glad that you are planning, but it does hurt to hear that as we're anticipating yet another ugly and potentially very disastrous fire season, that that we've not been able to be at 100% because of where we are with this fire borrowing situation.